สวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีค่ะ
Welcome to NBT World's Fireside. I'm Benjamin รุโจปการ
And I'm Warisa Nidanath Gomon. Every week we have a fireside chat exploring what's going on in Thailand, diving deep into our latest obsessions.
So, historically, Thailand was seen as one of Southeast Asia's economic success stories because for decades, its economy was powered by a thriving tourism industry, a strong manufacturing base, and its position as the gateway to the region, the gateway of Southeast Asia. But the world is changing. Tourism is facing fiercer competition than ever, especially among some of our neighbors, as well as like Vietnam or Malaysia. Now, global supply chains are also being redrawn, and the technologies that drive economic growth aren't just cars anymore. They have to be advanced EVs, and they have to be advanced AI semiconductors, advanced manufacturing, to say the least. Now, recently, the Thai government has announced what it hopes will be an answer to that changing world. This is called Thailand FastPass. This is a new program that brings 8 government agencies together to cut the approval times for major investment projects by as much as half.
And more importantly, it is tied to over $21 billion worth of strategic investments, spanning everything from rocket technology and semiconductor components to advanced electronics and molecular plastic recycling. Now, on the surface, it looks like another government initiative promising faster paperwork. But beneath the bureaucracy lies a much bigger question. Can Thailand reinvent itself before its old growth model runs out of steam? In this episode, we're going to look at why some of the world's most advanced manufacturers are choosing Thailand, what these investments tell us about the changing geography of global supply chains, and whether this truly marks the beginning of a new chapter for the Thai economy.
So on June 23rd, inside the Santi Maitri building of Government House, Prime Minister Anutin Chanvirakul stood before more than 300 people. These were cabinet ministers, ambassadors, foreign chambers of commerce, and senior executives from multinational corporations to launch a new initiative, and this was Thailand FastPass. So FastPass isn't just like a new agency or something, but this is a framework to restructure Thailand's one-stop system for investment. And the ceremony centered on a memorandum of understanding signed by 8 government bodies that sit along almost every step of the industrial project development pipeline in Thailand. The Board of Investment, or the BOI, which has long acted as the country's official one-stop investment promotion center, it sits at the front of that pipeline. It is the entry point that offers investment approval, tax incentives, and coordinations with the state.
Right, but what follows that approval is where projects traditionally slow down. The Office of Natural Resources and Environmental Policy and Planning handles environmental impact assessments, and the Department of Industrial Works issues factory construction and operating licenses. The Customs Department manages the import of machinery, equipment, and raw materials. The Industrial Estate Authority of Thailand, or IEAT, controls industrial estate access and free zone permissions. The Energy Regulatory Commission, or ERC, oversees regulatory approvals for electricity and energy infrastructure. And last, the final step of physical execution, actually powering a factory, runs through either the Metropolitan Electricity Authority, or MEA, or the Provincial Electricity Authority, or PEA. All these agencies map almost perfectly into the life cycle of building a factory in Thailand. Approval, environmental clearance, licensing, importation, site allocation, and grid connection.
So on paper, I mean, each step exists for a reason. I mean, these all sound like very important responsibilities, but in practice, they often exist on separate clocks. They're often running on separate clocks, and that can really slow down the process. So in his opening speech, Anutin said, in today's global business, speed is the ultimate differentiator. The Thai government is shifting from regulator to active business facilitator. By removing regulatory hurdles, increasing speed, and ensuring policy transparency, we are driving physical investments that will generate next generation employment and secure Thailand's long-term regional competitiveness. So that is the shift that FastPass is trying to operate operationalize from regulator to facilitator. The mechanism is trying to do something that's pretty simple. It's just trying to, force all of the regulatory steps into a single coordinated pipeline, rather than trying to reduce them necessarily. So Thailand has long described its BOI as a one-stop service center. Investors would arrive, receive approval, and assume they're done. The system is unified. But once that approval was granted, they would still leave that one-stop service center and begin navigating this fragmented chain of different agencies that have their own timelines, their own documentation, and their own internal logic.
Right. So FastPass is an attempt to close that gap, or as the BOI Secretary General Narit Satirasat put it, we put 8 agencies into one pipeline. Permit timelines that once stretched for months can now be cut by up to half. That gets factories built, creates high-skilled jobs, and pulls Thai suppliers into global supply chains. Now, under the agreement, those agencies have committed to coordinated reviews and a reduction in approval times of roughly 20 to 50% across key stages of development. From factory licensing and environmental assessments to rezone approvals and electricity connections.
That's right. So the recent ceremony at Government House was actually for the second cohort of the FastPass program, comprising 25 projects from 23 companies. And collectively, they were worth 223 billion baht, or around 6.7 billion US dollars. Now, in the first phase, Thailand FastPass was used to resolve regulatory bottlenecks for 76 previously approved investment projects. Those had a combined value of approximately 474 billion baht, or around 14.4 billion dollars. Now, these two phases bring together the total number of projects under the FastPass mechanism to over 100 projects, and they have a combined investment value exceeding 700 billion baht, or over $21 billion. And that's how we got that figure.
Now, speaking at the event, the BOI chief also said, in an era where global supply chains are being reshaped, investors need clarity and speed. Thailand must send a clear signal that we are ready to attract quality investment projects that build the industrial base of the future. Now, to qualify for the Thailand Pass or FastPass program, investment projects must meet all of the following conditions. And that is, the project must already have submitted an investment promotion application to the Board of Investment. Also, total investment must be at least 1 billion baht, excluding land and working capital. The project must also fall within the BOI designated advanced technology sectors eligible for tax incentives. These include biotechnology, electric vehicles and EV parts, semiconductors, advanced electronics, digital technology, and of course, AI.
So you can see through the tax incentives what are the industries that Thailand is really trying to break ground on. So the project, in addition to all of that we've mentioned before, has to demonstrate broader benefits to Thailand. And these include employment of Thai workers, development of local supply chains, or technology transfer or capability building. We have to spread the economic benefit of these programs to the wider Thai economy and have Thai people share in the economic prosperity of this investment. So upon receiving the FastPass status, companies have to commit at least 20% of the total investment into Thailand within 6 months. Now, failure to comply may result in the removal from the program unless delays are attributable to government agencies. Like, if the government agency was the reason for the holdup, then it's fine. But if you didn't bring it in and there's no real reason why within 6 months, at least 20% of the investment value, then you could risk losing the FastPass status, right? The FastPass mechanism delivers broader economic benefits this way beyond just faster approvals. More immediately, it's positioned as part of an investment-led recovery strategy where capital inflows provide short-term stimulus while laying the groundwork for longer-term growth.
Yes, and at the labor level, faster project delivery is expected to translate into earlier job creation across a wide range of roles, from engineers and technicians to logistics workers and administrative staff, and also local service providers. And at the skills level, the inflow of advanced manufacturing and digital industries is framed as a channel for technology transfer and capability building, allowing Thai workers to move into higher skilled, higher income positions over time.
That's right. And large-scale investment is also expected to generate spillover demand for domestic SMEs, ranging from component suppliers and contractors to logistics firms, food service, accommodation providers, and other local businesses that are connected to industrial activity. And more locally speaking, each project is expected to circulate spending through the surrounding communities, creating secondary demand for transport, maintenance, construction, and everyday services that grow around these industrial sites.
And the company selected for a Thailand FastPass cuts across very different parts of the advanced technology economy, but they share a common feature actually. They're all building capital-intensive, export-oriented infrastructure in Thailand, and all describe speed of permitting as a decisive factor in execution.
That's right. So, for example, Bangkok-based Equatorial Space Thailand Company Limited, which is the regional arm of a Singapore-founded aerospace startup, Equatorial Space Systems, focused on next-generation space launch technology, which sounds like some real SpaceX stuff, right? So the company is developing low Earth orbit or LEO launch vehicles powered by proprietary hybrid propulsion systems. So this is an alternative to traditional solid or liquid fuel rockets that are designed to reduce costs, improve safety, and lower the environmental risk. Now, in Thailand, the company is establishing a regional manufacturing and testing base for launch vehicle components, which positions the country within the broader production ecosystem for space hardware.
And according to CEO Simon Guatz, FastPass was just one of the many factors that led the company to choosing Thailand. He said, quote, Thailand possesses the talent, infrastructure, and policy support necessary for next-generation industries. The BOI's one-stop coordination significantly reduces regulatory complexity, end quote.
Now, meanwhile, in our next company, Pure Cycle Technologies Incorporated is a U.S.-based materials innovation company that focuses on solving one of the most persistent problems in plastic recycling, which is degradation. The more you recycle the plastic, the more it degrades. So its patented purification process, originally developed by Procter & Gamble, removes color, odor, and contaminants from polypropylene waste, which produces a high-purity recycled resin that matches virgin plastic in performance. So it performs just like original plastic. So in Thailand, the company is building a large-scale polypropylene recycling facility in Rayong province within IRPC's eco-industrial zone, which positions it as a regional hub for its global recycling expansion strategy. So I mean, now there's more, there's a bigger case than ever to recycle your plastic bottles and recycle your plastic bags and things like that, right? I think that it's really good that there's a company like this coming to Thailand because Thailand has been a major polluter, a major contributor of ocean plastic. So to have this technology come into Thailand and perhaps some technology transfer and the expansion of recycling here, we can contribute to just a cleaner ocean.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed. Now, executives describe Thailand FastPass as a practical enabler of project delivery. Now, CFO Donald Carpenter said the availability of raw materials, infrastructures, and proactive government support were critical in our decision to anchor our regional operations here. The FastPass mechanism directly improves our operational efficiency. Meanwhile, Global CEO Dustin Olson said that being selected for Thailand FastPass is a meaningful endorsement from the Thai government. This acceleration framework lets us advance our Thailand facility on a faster timeline while working closely with the Thai agencies whose approval matter most to getting steel in the ground.
That's right. Now, also, due to the AI boom, the semiconductor industry has been expanding aggressively. So SAM or SAM Precision Thailand Limited, which is a subsidiary of SAM Engineering and Equipment Malaysia Berhad, specializes in ultra high precision manufacturing for advanced industries. The company produces machine components, tooling systems, and critical equipment modules used in semiconductor fabrication, electronics manufacturing, and aerospace supply chains. So operating from Rojana Industrial Park in Ayutthaya, the company has expanded in step with Southeast Asia's growing role in global semiconductor production, supplying essential infrastructure to regional manufacturers.
And for GM Larry Fu, the emphasis is less on strategy and more on the operational speed. Again, I think operational speed is a continuous theme right here. And he said the speed of obtaining factory licenses under the scheme has accelerated our operational readiness, creating a smoother path to scale.
Now, our final business is also in semiconductors. This company cited in the cohort of the FastPass program is Advanced Interconnection Technology Company Limited, or AITC. This is a joint venture between electronics manufacturer SVI and printed circuit board manufacturer China Circuit Technology Shantou Corporation. This is CCTC. Now, AITC is a specialist manufacturer of high-density interconnect, or HDI, and multi-layer printed circuit boards, or PCBs. These are components that form the foundational architecture of modern electronics. Now, these boards enable compact, high-performance systems used in EVs, in telecommunications infrastructure, and cloud computing hardware. Now, the company has expanded its manufacturing footprint in Thailand as the country positions itself as a major ASEAN hub for advanced electronics and PCB production.
Now, according to Director Grit Lee Thawon, FastPass is closely tied to execution timelines and supply chain integration. He said, quote, "The depth of Thailand's electronic supply chain and supportive state policies were critical to our investment decision. The FastPass program drastically simplifies state coordination, allowing us to hit aggressive deployment timelines," end quote. It's true, like when you know that a system is running kind of smoothly, you don't have to, stop and focus individually on things. You can just like run things where you're really competent at.
Yeah, right? I do think that when you're allowed to just focus on just doing the work, that's, it's such a headache when you have to jump through all these regulatory hoops. And I had to do some of that recently. And it really, there's an attrition there that keeps you from wanting to pursue this kind of work at all. Like if you feel like you're just going to be climbing uphill the whole time, it makes you not want to pursue investment in a certain, direction, and maybe that's also why, some businesses would prefer to invest in some of our neighboring countries as well, is because maybe there's too many regulatory hurdles, or maybe the agencies aren't talking to each other, when everyone operates in silos, right? And also, when I try to get something approved, I won't go into the details, but they love to send you to the other office. They love to send you, they love to make it not their problem. And they love to say like, no, you got to go do that over there. And then when you go over there, they say, no, you got to do that over here. And then, they just, you go around in a loop back and forth. And I can see why that can kind of tire people out, So Thailand has its own uphill struggle. I mean, its push for Thailand FastPass is unfolding against a backdrop of slower and more structurally constrained economic growth. In its quarterly review, the Thailand Development Research Institute, or TDRI, published a study called Structural Challenges for the Thai Economy: What are the causes of Thailand's long-term GDP projection decline? Now, this paper was authored by Dr. Nonorit Pisonyabut and Sunan Phumkham. Their analysis of Thailand's long-term GDP trajectory finds that post-COVID growth has averaged only 2.3% between 2022 and 2024. And this falls short of pre-pandemic growth of roughly 3.2% in the 2010s, and is a far cry from the earlier historical peaks. And they argue that this slowdown is not cyclical, actually, but structural, and that it reflects a simultaneous pressure across multiple parts of the economy. What were some of those parts, actually?
Well, rather than treating the slow growth as a single bottleneck problem, it identifies 10 interconnected structural constraints. And these limitations, they span across labor, capital formation, productivity, fiscal capacity, household debt, exports, foreign direct investment, tourism, services, trade, and external risk exposure. The implication is that Thailand is not facing just one constraint, but a system-wide deceleration.
Yes. So on the domestic side, we have the demographic problem, which is we have a aging society, and the more people age out of the workforce, the more dependents we have that force us to, care for more people and with fewer people, right? So we have early labor force exit as well. And this altogether is reducing the effective labor supply, while education outcomes are also pointing to long-running challenges in human capital development. We know that the education system, they're not necessarily preparing people for the jobs of the future. And, frankly, it's very understandable because the jobs of the future are changing all the time. It feels like AI has really rapidly changed what are the jobs that will be, that will still be around in 5 years, right? So investment growth has also weakened, reflecting slower capital accumulation and lower confidence in future returns. And at the same time, productivity growth has slowed, which suggests that efficiency gains from technology and organizational improvements are becoming harder to sustain.
Right. And these pressures are reinforced by fiscal and household balance sheet constraints. Public debt has risen significantly since COVID-19, narrowing fiscal space, while high household debt continues to limit consumption and reduce the economy's ability to generate demand-led growth. Now, on the external side of things, Thailand's traditional growth engines are also under strain. Export competitiveness is weakening in a more fragmented global trading environment. Foreign direct investment remains strong, though, in headline terms, but its composition is shifting towards projects that generate fewer spillovers to local firms and employment.
And finally, tourism has yet to fully return to pre-pandemic levels as well. And it faces rising regional competition, like we mentioned earlier, and structural limits in the existing model of how we conduct tourism. So service trade is also increasingly unbalanced, with imports growing faster than exports due to rising demand for digital platforms, logistics services, and global technology ecosystems. So all these dynamics point to an economy where growth is constrained not just by one failure point, but multiple reinforcing pressures across labor, capital, external competitiveness, and domestic demand.
Mm-hmm. And it's within this context that FastPass is being positioned, right? The policy does not attempt to solve all 10 structural constraints. However, it focuses narrowly on one recurring friction identified across investment-related bottlenecks: the gap between investment approval and investment execution. So by compressing regulatory timelines across agencies and accelerating the path from approval to operation, FastPass is designed to address a specific manifestation of Thailand's broader structural issue: weak investment dynamism. In an economy where capital formation, productivity growth, and foreign direct investment are already under pressure.
That's right. And FastPass, in this sort of understanding, it's not just like an isolated policy innovation, but it's a broader pattern that you can see in the Anutin administration's economic approach. This is a preference for quick win institutional fixes that target execution bottlenecks rather than a major structural overhaul. So across multiple policy areas, the administration's economic agenda appears to converge on a similar kind of logic. You see, instead of waiting for slow-moving structural reforms such as labor market overhaul or education reform or fiscal restructuring, the focus is on how can we identify points in the system where state capacity, it's already there, but the coordination failure prevents outcomes from materializing. How do we coordinate better among the different agencies?
So Ben, in your opinion, does FastPass kind of reflect confidence or urgency?
I mean, I think it reflects urgency. I think that given all of the structural constraints that we're facing, that were laid out by the TDRI, the sort of uphill battle that we're dealing with here in Thailand, and just the sheer amount of competition and the sort of the geopolitical landscape, which is a euphemism for some instability abroad. I think that all these things put together, it shows how urgent it is for us to deliver something right now. And I do believe that a quick win strategy is something that is good to pursue in the short term for sure. I am very interested in a long-term strategy. I'm very interested in what are some of these longer-term reforms that could set Thailand on the right path. Because, all these high-tech jobs, all these high-tech businesses, there would be limited spillover if we don't have enough skilled labor. And we don't have enough skilled labor because perhaps the education pipeline is not aligned with the job market. So in my opinion, there's a lot of structural things to address. There's a lot of sort of systematic things to address, but trying to get the money in the door right now, I think that's realistic. I think that's pragmatic. I think that's what we should be doing. So I'm definitely not against the FastPass program whatsoever, but it reflects urgency to me more than confidence in the way that you framed the question.
I think I definitely agree with you. And hopefully, if this is successful, which I'm pretty sure this would be, it's already proving itself to be successful, that this kind of, framework can be used in other industries as well, and not just factories and all that.
I totally agree. I think that investment approval, getting people to jump through several hoops at several different agencies and going all across the country to go to this office and that office and this office and that office, I think it's really tedious. And I would love to see that approach expanded throughout the different government agencies. I know that bureaucracy, it's there for a reason, it's there for fairness, and it's there to balance a lot of different considerations. But people got to get things done. We need a dynamic country. People have to move, and everything. I really do believe in what they're saying is that speed is the name of the game. The person that can move first, often wins first.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And now we turn it over to our audience. Do you see FastPass as a quick win or a Hail Mary?
Let us know in the comment section of NBT World's online channels. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Spotify.
Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Sawadee krap.
Sawadee ka.